Listen, it has been over 105 degrees in Oklahoma the last couple days, and I'm not gonna make it. I'm just not gonna make it. Hello, everyone. This is just gonna be my thing, apparently. Like a nice jazz hands. Hello. I'm very hot and sweaty, but that doesn't matter because I'm here to talk to you guys about the books that I read. What month is it? June. These are the books that I read in June. Okay. All right. Okay. The first book that I read this month was The Dead Romantics by Ashley Poston, and this was such a great surprise. Like, I'd seen people talking about it, but I enjoyed this book so much more than I thought that I would. Boom, hits glasses. Whatever, I loved this book. In this book, we follow Florence, and she is a ghostwriter for, let's say, a Nora Roberts, Nicholas Sparks level romance writer. Florence has actually gone through the worst breakup ever, and she actually doesn't believe in love anymore. And she has a rough draft that is due for the next book that she is ghostwriting. And she just can't for the life of her bring herself to talk about love when she feels it the way that she does. There we go. Florence's parents own a funeral home. And the best part about Florence is that she can see ghosts. So she has a situation that comes up at home, and she has to go back because she has not been home in a while. Her dad ends up passing away, and she has to go back to the funeral, and sue dead people until the dead person that she sees is the new editor for the book she's supposed to be writing about love. And she doesn't believe in love. I was just looking to see if this was a spoiler or not, but it says romance is most certainly dead, ... but so is her new editor. So he shows up in her hometown, but he's a ghost. And I thought that the premise of this was just so incredibly cute. I would highly recommend reading this during spooky season. It's the perfect spooky season rom-com. I loved this. I've already ordered 2 more books by Ashley Poston because this was just everything I didn't know I needed, and I gave it 5 stars. Next up, I listened to The Chateau. I liked this. It was an interesting listen. My problem with it is that it read more of a mystery than a thriller, so that was not what my little brain was set on going into this. This also follows a friend group that is going to return to this large chateau to hang out together. When they get there, the grandma that lives there that invited them all is murdered. So it's like one of those murder mysteries. I really, really loved the World War II aspects that were tied into this, just because I happened to be doing so many World War II things at the time. First of all, I just finished the second Daisy Haites. I was actually kind of reading that at the same time that I was listening to this, and they were both about art, and it was just fucking perfect. I also watched Unbroken with Jordan recently, so that was another little World War II moment. Unfortunately for me, that's my favorite part of this. It had excellent twists, but it just never gave me that vibe I was looking for from a thriller. So that's probably more my bad than the book's bad, but it didn't give me everything that I needed, and I gave it 3 stars. Next up, I read Wrecked by Lauren Asher. This is the 3rd book in the Dirty Air series, and it follows Jax and Elena. Jax, he's your standard bad boy, and he needs a little help with, he doesn't think he needs help. The team around him thinks he needs help, so they hire somebody to help him from a PR standpoint, try to turn his image around. Elena enters the chat. she's the one to do that. I liked this book a lot. I ended up giving it 4 stars. There's close proximity, her trying to help him. It also has the best third act conflict. And I say best in a good way because, like, I hate a third act conflict. But in this one, it felt real. Like, it didn't feel like a miscommunication trope or like anything like that. Like, it was a real problem. And I enjoyed that a lot. I gave it 4 stars. Da, 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 da. Look at all my tabs. Got tabs on the top. Next up, I'm doing my Throne of Glass reread before Crescent City 3 comes out in January, because if there is anything linked in these books, I will find it. So I read Heir of Fire and Queen of Shadows. These are both 5-star reads for me. I'm not going to get into the plot too much because I don't want to ruin it for anybody that hasn't read it before, but Heir of Fire is where I really started falling in love with this series. You start meeting new characters. Daddy Rowan. I mean, there's like other ones too, you know, like, shit, what's his name? Adian. He was there. Lysandra. Just kidding. I love the characters in Throne of Glass. So my favorite part in Heir of Fire, we get some new characters. We also get Manon, however you want to say it. So this time around, I know that I like Manon, so I'm paying like more attention. And in Queen of Shadows, we get more people introduced as well, and I love the found family trope. These are both 5-star reads for me, 5-star series, 5-star universe, really. Then I went back to my girl Freida McFadden, and I read Want to Know a Secret. This follows YouTube baking sensation April, and it's very like Desperate Housewives, Big Little Lies, rich people drama, PTA drama, rich people drama, and texts from an anonymous thread. I thought that the plot of this, like, it was, like, I liked it, but it never gave me, like, that punchy, like, thriller vibe. What the? Don't fight me, because it looks like this. Whatever. It didn't have, like, that punchy thriller vibe, and I ended up giving it 3 stars. Then I read, what's it called? The Soulmate by Sally Hepworth. Sally Hepworm, if you were here for last month's video. This follows Gabe and Pippa, and they have their dream home in a coastal town. The bad part about where they live is that it is actually a very popular place for people to unalive themselves, because the house is placed on a huge cliff, and it's a very like popular known place for that. The thing about Gabe is he has this weird knack for like being able to talk them down, like it's actually like well known in the community with the cops and all that is a skill that he possesses. So where this book starts off, there is a jumper, and you get the POV of the jumper and Pippa. And you do find out that they are connected. Now, like, maybe, like, Sally Hepworm just... Hepworm? Why do I keep saying that? Maybe Sally Hepworth is just not for me. I didn't connect with this at all, and I gave it 1 star. Next up, I read Bear With Me Now by Shepard, and this was so cute. This gave me all the Allie Hazelwood vibes that I didn't know I was looking for, but I was. I just almost threw Jordan's dice on the floor, and there's like a lot of them to pick up. Okay, I'm gonna stop getting crazy. I loved this book. We follow Tegan and Darcy, and Tegan, where like the book starts off, Tegan wakes up in the hospital for being hospitalized for panic attacks. So he's not having, you know, like the best time of his life, and his sister takes him to a wildlife retreat where he meets Darcy. So Tegan gets there, and he's like, I don't even need to be here. I'm not an alcoholic. I'm not addicted to drugs. Like, I am fine. I don't need to be here. But then he starts hanging out with Darcy and they start interacting in nature, and he's like, shit, maybe that is a little bit calming. So Darcy's like trying to find her new job, you know, like this isn't what she was wanting either. She works at the retreat and like honestly doesn't do stuff that she wants to, like she mows the grass and stuff, you know? And this man mows the grass for her. Marry him. Sorry, that was kind of a little spoiler, but just like I felt that in my chest. Anyways, they start hanging out at the retreat and Tegan's like, I don't need to be here. It's so hot in here. Tegan is like, actually, I don't need to be here. I am not an alcoholic and I'm going to leave. I don't need to be here. And then Darcy's like, bro, your alcoholism, like, what are you gonna do, you know? So they decide that she's going to be his sober companion, and she goes back home with him and follows him around, and she's very much in his life, and she thinks that he is an alcoholic, and he's just like, I liked you and wanted to hang out, you know? So this was a huge surprise for me. I loved this book. It had like the awkwardness of an Allie Hazelwood book, and I say that in the best way possible, and I gave this 5 stars. Then another thriller. I have been waiting for the release of this one. It was The Only Survivors by Miranda. The thing about the premise of a big scary house that everybody goes to, if it's not Daisy Darker, I don't want it. I still really, really enjoyed this, but like that's the bar for like a book like this for me. And in this one, you have a group of former classmates who are getting back together 10 years after they went through a tragic accident together. And they're all in this house together, and nobody trusts anybody because pieces are coming out and like somebody else is missing and other people are going missing. And obviously it's everybody like in the group. Like it's one of those like they're in the house, nobody trusts each other type of thing. And this one, when it got where it was going, like it was a very, very solid listen. I did listen to this one on Libby. It was very, very solid. Like I was interested. The pieces are falling together. Megan, why are you fucking me up with the plot twist at the end? Like I was literally like, wait, what? I loved it. I ended up raising it from 3 stars to 4 stars. Up next, I reread Daisy Jones and the Six. This is my story with Daisy Jones and the Six. The first time I read it, I actually listened to it on Libby, and I do think it hindered my listening process just because for me it's very difficult to pinpoint different like names and tones of voices when there's like that many characters in the cast. It does make for an incredible listen, but this is definitely like a me problem. I had trouble following that. I still enjoyed it. I ended up giving it 3 stars, and then I watched Daisy Jones and the Six, the TV show. I don't think I've ever said this before, but I do think the TV show is better than the book. The TV show is just like iconic. So I'm living my best summer, like just hyped about Daisy Jones and the Six. So then I'm like, okay, what if I listen to the audiobook while I follow along in the book? Because I had this copy from Book of the Month, and I enjoyed it so much more the second time around. I ended up giving it 4 stars. It's not a 5-star read for me, but it has so many quotable lines. This book is so quotable, so I just really wanted to get in there and annotate it because I love these characters, and I don't want to go into the premise too much. It's about a rock band, and the way it's set up, you're getting flashbacks of them back in the day, and then it's like an interview style of them present day after the band broke up. I could not recommend this enough. I think it's an easy book for somebody that's starting to get into reading. Like I think it would just grasp pretty much anybody's attention who doesn't love rock and roll. Yeah, Daisy Jones and the Six, I gave it 4 stars. Next up, I read Unfortunately Yours by Tessa Bailey, and this is a new release that I was waiting for. it did let me down a little bit, I'm not gonna lie. The first half of the book was a banger, but then like the end kind of fizzled a little bit. In this one, you follow Natalie, who is a Napa heiress, and she is back in town after having like a falling out in New York with her job. So she's kind of down on her luck, back in her hometown, not super excited to be there. And then we have the dude bro, what's the dude bro's name? August. And August is an ex-Navy SEAL, and he is trying to start up his own wine business, but he has no idea what the hell he's doing. So there's that. And this is Marriage of Convenience, which rocked my socks off in the beginning. As soon as they were married, it like fizzled for me, and then like I still enjoyed it. I gave it 3 stars, but like I just wanted this Tessa Bailey book to like punch. Why am I so aggressive? I just wanted this Tessa Bailey book to like punch me in the face and me love it. You know, I think my favorite is Hook, Line, and Sinker, so I like wanted that feeling again. Still really enjoyed it from a Marriage of Convenience standpoint. Chef's kiss. But then when they like got together, meh. 3 stars. Next up, I've got some more Lauren Asher books. I read the fine print, and I'm currently reading Terms and Conditions. I am going to include it in this book because it is a reread in this book. I'm writing my own goddamn book. I am going to include it in this wrap up because I'm over 80% done, and this is the second time that I've read it, so I can give you a thorough review. These are books from the Dreamland Billionaire series. So book 1, the fine print, I actually ended up DNFing the first time I read it. By the time they like got together, I just like didn't care. It follows Rowan and Zara. And Rowan, in all of these, the premise is the sons of the grandfather, the dude that started Dreamland. He passes away, and each, why am I struggling with words? Each grandson has to complete a different thing for his inheritance. He has to go to Dreamland and be the director and come up with a big project. Like, that is his thing. And then you have Zara. She starts out working in a hair salon to dress up the pretty princesses that come to Dreamland. Love that for her. But then she gets a role as a creator to start this new thing that Rowan's trying to plan. So it is workplace forks. Forced proximity. The problem with this one for me, it's Grumpy Sunshine. I don't necessarily love Grumpy Sunshine in a rom-com setting because Rowan had the emotional range of a teaspoon. Like, when you have a grumpy character that's that grumpy and he's just like chilling in everyday life, not in like a fantasy setting, it just didn't do it for me. I did like the end of this because of Rowan's character growth. You know, he has a moment at the end of the book that you just know he would not have had in the beginning. So that's why on my reread this time, instead of DNFing it, whoops, sorry guys, I ended up giving it 2 stars. Didn't love the premise, didn't love Rowan, but the character growth at the end made me elevate this a star. The next one is Terms and Conditions, and in this one you follow Declan and Iris. And Declan's thing for all of this is becoming CFO. And to become the CFO or CEO, I don't know, one of the two. I don't business talk, you know. Anyways, it's one of the two. For him to have that position, he has to marry and have a child. The problem with that is Declan is the biggest asshole in the entire universe. So he's actually going for an arranged marriage that Iris is trying to set up for him, and in the beginning of the book he fucks it up and he has no time left, and Iris is like, I guess we're getting married. So this is also Marriage of Convenience, and I loved it so much. So much. I ended up giving it 4 stars. King Julian. Next up, Daisy Haites, The Great Undoing. This is the 4th book in the Magnolia Parks universe, and this follows the same timeline as the 2nd Magnolia Parks book. So this is Daisy, King Julian, and Christian's POV, and I loved this book so much. I had problems with the beginning of this series because, like, why do they do this to each other? But then the rich people drama I'm here for. I don't want to go into like the plot too much because I don't want to give any spoilers since this is part of a series, but I love these characters so much. More so than the POVs that we get from Magnolia and BJ. And actually, funny enough, in this book I fell in love with Magnolia because she has not been my favorite person throughout the series. There's Titanic references. If a man gets up and gives a Titanic reference speech, King Julian, I'm there for you. I love Titanic, okay? And it just hit for me, and this is the first book of the series that I gave 5 stars. Then I finished the month up with The Surrogate Mother by Freida McFadden. In this one, like, you see it on the cover, right? Co-workers, I cannot for the life of me remember the main lady's name, but one of her co-workers, her assistant, after she has struggled with trying to get pregnant and adoption, her co-worker is like, yo, let me have this baby for you, right? So that is the premise of this. Like, obviously something's going on with the surrogate mother. I did not get like the thrilly vibe from Freida McFadden that I needed in this. I think sometimes, like, I like her plot twist, but it is kind of in your face, like, obvious, and then she gives you, like, the second plot twist, and that's where the action is. I just couldn't get into this one as much. Like, it just seemed very, like, this is the plot, and, like, that was the actual plot. There was an extra little twist at the end, but I just found that, like, I really didn't care, you know? 2 stars. With that, I'm toasty. I'm about to melt away. That is what I read in June. I will see you guys in the next video. Bye.